Welcome to the Saguache County Stories, a podcast of the Northern Saguache County Library District, where we explore the evolution and history of the land and people of the northern San Luis Valley. I'm Lisa Ann Emery, librarian at the Northern Saguache County Library District. In this episode, local resident Delores Worley shares her story on the theme of origin stories. In origin stories, folks talk about what brought them to Saguache County and their experiences living in our small rural communities.
Thank you so much for agreeing to just sit down and chat with us. Just want to hear your story, and what a great opportunity it is to sit down and someone and just have a nice chat and get it recorded, and maybe at some point other people in the community would be interested in wanting to hear your story as well.
Oh boy, we got a good one, huh?
Delores, could you let us know how old you are?
I'm going to be 96 in March. I was born March 19th, 1929.
1929.
Oh, big year.
Mm-hmm.
Where were you born?
In Verde Green, Nebraska.
Nebraska, okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, and that was, of course, the Depression started, stock market in October. But whatever they tell you, I was not resolved. I did not have anything to do with it.
It wasn't your fault?
It was not my fault.
We'll look into that one.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah. So, well, do you want me to start with my family?
Yeah, you can. We just want to have a free-flowing conversation, and we both have some questions lined up. But essentially, tell us anything you want to share.
Okay. Well, our people all came from Czechoslovakia.
Oh, that's is that your mom's side or dad?
That was mothers and fathers.
Both sides came from Czechoslovakia.
Czechoslovakia, yep. And this is the way it's spelled, and this is the way you pronounce it. Hoholoshek.
Hoholoshek.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
That's a mouthful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my mother's maiden name. This is her family. This is an original clipping of the family. The whole family years ago when they came from Czechoslovakia.
Oh, so that's the spelling there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Chocholousek. That's the last name.
Hoholoshek.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's like the phonetic spelling. It looks like maybe you have there. That's awesome.
That's how they pronounced it, Hoholoshek. And then our father's name was Erbek, Hrbek. Their family came from Czechoslovakia.
Wait, how many siblings do you have?
I have, we were 6. There was 5 of us, right? And then Phil. Well, we had, the original family was 5. And she was born 2 years after I was. And then Diane was born a year after her. And then, so we 3 were always together. I mean, we had so much fun. Oh, my gosh. And then 3 years later, Annette was born. And then a year later, Gary was born. And those 2 were always together. And they fought constantly. And she would just scrape him, and he still had scars on his back and his chest from her.
No.
And they'd fight each other, but if you fought one of them, you had to fight both of them. And so that was the Herbeck family. So let's see, I was 8, and then of course the Depression broke, and my father lost his job at the creamery, so he built a little tiny trailer. Gosh, it was probably about a third of this, maybe. Just a tiny little trailer. And they sold everything. Mother said later they had $200. And I remember her crying when during the auction. And we left to go to San Antonio, Texas to find our fortune. That turned out to be kind of a disaster. Anyway, we lived in a Mexican neighborhood. And a lady came and brought us some tamales. That was our first Mexican food that we had ever eaten.
Wow.
And Mother took her some fudge. And then things didn't work out there, so we moved to Seguin. And that was out in the boonies.
This is also in Texas?
Yes.
Okay.
And we had our little trailer out there in the middle of, nothing but dirt and cactus. And these big longhorn cows that would come by and scare us to death because they were so big. They looked bigger than elephants to us, And Mother was a domestic in the household. And my father took care of the turkeys. They had like a turkey farm. So we weren't there too long. I don't think, maybe a year, maybe. And then we moved to Madisonville, Texas. And we had our little trailer parked near the fairgrounds. pavilion. And that's where we lived. And I don't have any idea what our dad did there. I don't remember. But then we met a fellow, Phil Dorn, and he was real good to us. He took us to a circus, us kids to a circus one time. And that was just, so exciting.
Wow.
never been to a circus before, and that was so neat. And then Mother had a nervous breakdown, and there was no place for her to stay, I guess, because she went and stayed with Phil Dorn. And somehow she decided that we were going back to Nebraska. And we weren't supposed to let our father know, but Tattletale Annette spilled the beans. But we left, and we were on the bus, and my mother was so sick. How she ever made that trip, I will never, ever know. And we had to stay one night someplace, and there was 5 of us kids and Mother all in one bed in a flop house for 50 cents a night. And then we took to Bloomfield. That's where her stepmother lived. And maybe I'll have to go back a little bit. But anyway.
Is this Bloomfield? Are we back in Nebraska now?
We are headed towards Nebraska.
Okay, so you're on your way.
Yes.
And just to clarify, it sounds like, did you say you left when you were 8 years old from Nebraska? Mm-hmm. And so this would have been during the Dust Bowl, is that right? And so a lot of people were heading west, maybe towards California, but you guys decided to come south into Texas.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what were you seeking? You joked about why you went there, but what was the original plan to go to Texas?
I guess they figured maybe, I have no idea. Mm-hmm. I was just a kid. I don't have any idea what
something
the
that
deal
drew
was.
them there.
Yeah. But it just didn't work out, so we moved back to a little town that was close to Vertigo. It was called Creighton, and we lived there. Let's see, Mother came. Her going back, Mother's mother died when she was, I think she said 5 days old, so her grandparents and a whole bunch of uncles and aunts raised her. But her father remarried a lady named Emma, and I don't know what the deal was. I have no idea because I was real little. But somehow or another, I have no idea what happened. My cousin told me this. He lit the house on fire, and he went outside and shot himself.
Oh, wow.
They found him outside that he had shot himself. So that's where the mother-in-law came in, her mother-in-law. Anyway, so we came back and we stayed with her. And Mike Soupy, because the guy she had married, he was an old fart. he was not real nice. But, then my father showed up and we moved to Creighton. And that was in Nebraska, and went to school there. And we lived across the street from the Catholic school church, and those doggone nuns were so mean. More than once, you hold out your hand and you got slapped with a ruler. And they always wanted us to sell medals and little prayer books, and that's the thing I used to just hate to do because I'm no kind of a seller. I can't sell anything. I couldn't sell a $20 bill for $1. So then let's see what happened. Then we moved to the other house in Creighton, and then
I was going to say, Mother became a telephone operator.
Your mother became a telephone
Our
operator.
father disappeared.
Okay.
He disappeared. He never said goodbye. We never knew where he went or when he left.
Woke up.
Never saw him again.
How old were you, Delores, when that happened?
Let's see. How old was I? Gus, do you remember how old you were, sir?
About 14, weren't you?
Probably.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Probably about like that. Yeah. And, okay, so then, let's see what happened.
We went to Catholic school.
Huh?
We went to a Catholic school.
Yes, we did, and then we moved to the other house, and then we went to another school. I don't even remember that one, but I know we went to another school. And then the next thing we know, Mother was packing us up, and we were moving to New Mexico. And we didn't know anything. All we could carry, and we left everything. All we could carry was what we took with us. We took the train, I think, to Omaha, and then the bus to all the way to Santa Fe. We got there about 7:30 in the morning, I guess, and our bus wasn't due till about 10. So there was a little small bus going to Espanola, so we got on that one, and that's where Daddy Phil was. So these things had been planned, and we didn't even know how.
You're just along for the ride.
Of it.
Yeah. And so they got married, and he had a tiny little house, just a little bitty house that was so dirty and messy, and he said he hadn't had time to clean it up, so we cleaned it up. And but we had so much fun in Espanola. We lived close to the river and the ditch, and we played in the ditch, and the river. This one time I decided I was going to cross over to a sandbar, and the farther I got, the deeper it got. And I knew if I misstepped, I was a goner. I knew that. And I didn't know how much more I had to go before it was going to go like this. But I made it to the sandbar, and I managed to climb up the bridge. And I said, I will never do that again.
That's so scary.
One time we heard a whole bunch of commotion up there on the bridge, and so we went up to see what it was, and there was a whole bunch of people up on top of the bridge. And under the bridge, this fellow had this real heavy lady. They were baptizing people. And so they had her, and she was pretty heavy. They laid her over backwards, and so they couldn't get her up. She was under the water. So 3 guys went down to jump and get her out, and everybody on the bridge was going, go, 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 go. And they finally got her up, but that was so doggone funny.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was scary. At first, everybody was so relieved, that she got up and she was okay. Yeah. So that was a really crazy thing. So anyway, let's see. That was Espanola.
What did he do for work, your new dad?
He was a retired Navy man, and I don't remember him working until we went to Willard, and then he had a job at the electric
Roundhouse, railroad. The roundhouse on the railroad station.
Was it? Okay.
Railroad station.
Okay. And of course, the first minute we got there, my sister had to go investigate a building that was across the street, and she pulled a lever and set off the fire alarm.
Oops.
And we were all scared to death that they were going to come and arrest us. And there wasn't even any fire department there. No fire trucks, no nothing. They didn't even... Yeah, that's the one. She could get into a lot of mischief. Where was it that those kids were bothering us, the boys?
That was in Espanola.
Espanola?
Yeah.
In the park.
Yeah.
And so she picked up a rock and threw it and knocked out 2 teeth of this one kid. And they followed us all the way home, and we were scared to death. And so they said, my stepdad met them, and they said, we're going to go get our dad, and he's going to do this and that. And Daddy Phil says, go ahead. He says, now kick his ass. And, and we never, nobody ever showed up. We never saw the kids again. We always wondered what happened, what they told their dad. I don't know, but we never saw them again, did we? That was pretty cool.
This is all in
They
Espanola.
didn't mess with us anymore either.
No, they
They
didn't.
didn't mess with you.
No, they sure didn't. Yeah, that was Espanola. And then, let's see, we moved to Willard. Yeah, we moved to Willard. And there was nothing there except a Belen. First, and then Willard.
This is still in New Mexico?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, we love New Mexico. It was like a brand new country. Everything was totally different. It was just the music and the culture and everything was different. We loved it.
You're right, it was Willard first. You're right, it was Willard first.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Anyway, when we left Nebraska, I said, if I never see another drop of snow again, as long as I live, I won't care. It sure was a lot of snow in Nebraska. Anyway, so then we did move to Willard, which was just a tiny little, like a crossroads there, and they had a diner and a gas station where you could get a few little groceries, and the school went to, 7th grade, I think, because then I had to go to bus to Estancia to go to school for junior high and a Catholic church. And I think that was about all there was, except a few little adobe houses and just a few people. But, yeah, I remember, they bused the kids that were in junior high in high school to Estancia, which was only about 12 miles away from there. And I was in one of the classes with nothing but boys. I was the only girl. And they used to pester me to death. They made me so doggone mad. And then one time when the teacher was out, they were really going, and I grabbed a hold of a book and I whacked this kid on the head. And he was sitting there bawling, and she walked in and wanted to know what was going on. They never bothered me again, but they made me so mad. Then from Willard, we moved to Belen.
Los Trujillos, wasn't it? Los Trujillos?
Was it Los Lunas first?
Los Lunas, okay.
What did we do in Los Lunas? I don't remember.
We moved into that adobe house that was a cow barn. Los Trujillos, wasn't it? I don't remember Los Lunas.
Let's see. I'm trying to think now. Okay, well, in Willard, we lived in an old abandoned bank building. Yeah, and we had the front place with all the windows so we could watch everything going by. Cool. Yeah, and that was, we had a lot of fun there because we investigated everything. Everywhere we went, we investigated something. When we were kids, we didn't, like I say, we didn't have anything, but we'd make kites out of paper bags, and you clamp tin cans on your feet and go clanking down the street. And that was our stilts. Yeah. Okay, so now we're in Belen. And
that's when Daddy had died, right after we moved to Belen.
Well, I got married. Was that in Belen? Right. Yeah, I got married when I was, and I had Willie, but I was in Albuquerque. Let me think. Oh, okay. I had moved to, I have to say that our stepdad treated us so good. He was so good to us kids. Imagine taking a woman with 5 kids, and he treated us so good. He'd say, if we get in mischief, he'd say, Evelyn, they're your kids. One time he said, I wish every kid had been born with a set of instructions.
I think all parents wish that.
Yeah, that was something else. Yeah, then I went to Albuquerque, and that's where I had Willie. And then the month after that, August, he died. Our stepdad died. Yeah, that's the way it was. So, where are we going now? Okay. Well, I forgot to tell you that Mother and Phil had a little baby, a little boy. That was Philip, and he's 14 years younger than I am. And he's still alive, and my little baby brother is 80 years old. That just boggles my mind.
Where does he live?
Now?
Yeah.
He's in Sherman, Texas. He was so doggone cute. And he used to hate anything that was fuzzy. And we put little baby chickens in his basin, and he'd be, he didn't like anything that was fuzzy. Or take him to the park, and he'd be standing there like this. He didn't like fuzzy stuff. That was all there is to it. But he was such a little cutie, blonde. Hair as white as snow. Yeah. Smelled like chicken feathers when you wash it. So then I had Willie.
How old were you when you got married and had Willie?
I was 18. I was months to go to be 18.
And then what took you to Albuquerque?
Well, my husband-to-be was working at, what the heck did they call them? It was kind of like restaurants that they had down the line on the railroads.
Oh, okay.
There's a name for that. I remember hearing about that.
I'm trying to...
Howard Johnson, was that it?
No.
Yeah, it was a place that people could get entertained and food along the railroad line.
Right.
Yeah, I heard about this. I can't remember what it's called, but I know it.
And
a chain of...
Yes, there was. Well, he was working there as a busboy.
Okay.
And he was making, $8 a week, I think. Wow. Something like that.
How did you guys meet?
Meet?
Yeah, how did you meet?
In Belen.
Okay.
Okay, in those days, they had a lot of fiestas. And so in August, they had the one in Belen, and that's when the war ended. And everybody was so excited, and horns were blowing, and people were just crying and everything because the war ended. And so we met, and we just got acquainted, and we had fun on the Ferris wheels, and we ate, and just got more acquainted and better acquainted. And so we got married, and I had another thought that came in my head. Well, and then, like I say, he was making $8 a week. So then, when they found out he was married, they gave him $16 a week.
Wow.
Yeah. But we lived in a little bitty trailer that all you could get into was the bed. That was all there was. Everything else was piled high. That was his grandparents' place. And then they had a little 2-room house that was evacuated, so we got to rent that. And then he got a better job and got a job with the city. So we were making $35 a week, and boy, we thought we were in heaven. Yeah, and then, let's see. Then we moved to the basement apartment there in Albuquerque on Edith, and that's where I had Penny. And then, let's see, and then I'm trying to think where Robin was born. And he died, that was on Edith in a little house. The third one was born, but he died of viral pneumonia. They were all, babies were dying right and left. One of our aunts and a sister-in-law lost their babies from pneumonia. It was just an epidemic. So we lost the third one. And then, where was I? Then we bought, 2 or 3 lots down in the valley in Albuquerque South. And so we decided we were going to build us a house. And so the guys had put in a well, so I pumped water for everything. I had a little garden with a little water, and I could pump water to the garden for baths, for everything. I pumped water. And then I pumped water, and I would take it to this hole and pour it in there during the daytime. And then when my husband came home, he would mix it up, and we made adobes. And we made lots of adobes, and we built a 2-room house. So I can tell you exactly how to make adobes.
That's great to know.
But it was funny because Willie was kind of ornery, and he'd stand in front of the hole, and he'd go, Yahoo! And he'd fall over in the mud backwards. He used to make me so doggone mad. It was enough trying to just keep enough water, but to have to bathe him. He was so ornery. But we did that. And then I had Terry. And
are the kids aged a couple years apart, or what's the gap with the kids?
Yeah, pretty much, because Will is, he's 70. Let's see, he was born in 47, so he is 77. Penny is 75. David is 70. And Terry is 68. And Jimmy was 64. And Luana was 63, and Evelyn is 61. Yeah. Of course, the last 3 were from a different father. Anyway, we got divorced, and I married Julian, and then we had those 3 other kids. So, yeah, we had a husband, and he had 3 older kids. As a matter of fact, we just lost 2 of our sons this last 3.5 months. My son, Jimmy, that was with me, he passed away. And then Johnny was a helicopter door gunner during the Vietnam War, and he got shot down, so his shoulder was messed up pretty bad for a long time. And it took years and years for the Army to fix it, and then they took another 3 years to get the shrapnel out of his hand. And he moved to Hawaii, and he had been married and had 2 kids. And then they split. And so he moved to Hawaii, and he really loved it there. And so he just, here this last year, it's gotten bad, and he finally just passed away last month.
So sorry to hear that.
Yeah, he was such a good kid. Gosh, he was just part of my family. I mean, he wasn't my son, but he was just so special. And then my son Jimmy died the month before that, and he was a real heavy diabetic. So he died in August. Yeah.
How did you and your second husband meet?
We went to, where did we go? Probably to a park or something, I think we did.
Wasn't it the Mormon church, Della?
Yeah, that's right. He did belong to that too. So I guess that's where he was from. Yeah, and then we got married, and I always wanted to be a nurse, and so I had quit school when I was a senior, and they wouldn't let me go back because I got married. And so I went to summer school, and I got my diploma, and I was ready to go to nursing school, and then I had another baby, and they shot me down again. Got me down again, yeah. So anyway, let's see. My husband had, like I say, 3 other kids, the older children. And his oldest daughter, he lived in Ruidoso, New Mexico. And so he wanted to go down and see her. And he says, but she's very quiet. You know, you may not get a word out of her. And so we got down there and we waited. She had been raised by her grandmother because during the war, Julian was a welder at the shipyards. And so he married this girl, and they had this little girl. But she went back to visit her family, and she died. So he couldn't take care of the baby, so she was raised by her grandmother. And so that's where we went to see her. And she'd grown up by that time, got married, and had 3 kids. So when she walked in the door, and he told her she's very quiet. She may not say it was. She didn't. She started talking and she never shut up.
I had a feeling you were going to say that.
And we would talk on the phone. We could talk for hours.
Really?
She was just, I don't know, we just hit it off so good.
How great.
It really was amazing, yeah. And she passed away a couple of years ago. She was the oldest of all. She would have been 80. But, yeah. Priscilla was her name. She's so special. Oh, my gosh. Yeah. So I've been so lucky. So lucky. Very blessed.
How many grandkids and great-grandkids do you have?
I have no idea.
Too many.
I keep counting more.
I think I had 17 grandkids, and I've lost track of the greats
Of the
and the great-greats. I have great-greats. I think they're supposed to come out and pick me up for Christmas this year, and next week, as a matter of fact, and so I can go down and meet all my relatives that I don't know.
Oh, how fun. Where are you going to go?
Albuquerque.
To Albuquerque.
Yeah, that's where they
great.
all are. Yeah.
So what year did you arrive to Saguache then?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was a story because my husband was a hunter and he used to hunt up above Monte Vista. And so he liked it up here and he thought it'd be nice to have a place where we could just come for summers, like a little summer camp. So the kids and I got in the car. Excuse me, I had the 3 little ones, the last kids. And so we came up and rented a place, and we canvassed this whole area looking for a place, and we spent about 2 weeks, I think, and Saguache was the last place that we were going to go before we had to go back home. And so we drove around, and there was for sale signs, and we saw our place, and we fell in love with it. It was going out of town on Denver, you know where it is. Mm-hmm. And so we contacted the people that owned it. $4,500 for 3 lots, a house, a barn, a shed, and a tool shed. Can you imagine?
No,
$4,500.
Her house used to be where Rosie lived.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah, I
Rosie.
know exactly where it
Where
is.
Rosie
Exactly.
lived. Yeah.
Oh, I met her just once, and she came to the house with some mail for me. Are you Delores Worley? And I said, yes. And so we got to talking. She said, if you ever need me, I'll be so glad to come and help you.
She's
and
so
I thought
sweet.
she was so sweet, and the next thing I know, she was gone.
She moved. Yeah, she went back to Rhode Island.
Yeah, she was such a cutie. I really liked her.
Yeah, I remember when you guys lived in that house.
So yeah, so then we made arrangements to contact the people that owned it. The deal went through, and we had managed to save up $3,800, and so we gave them the rest of the money, and it was all ours.
Wow.
We couldn't believe it. So we came up. We bought that in '69, and the kids and I would come up during the summers, while when they were out of school, and so we had. So we knew a lot of people here by the time. And then one time, Julian says, "Why don't we just go move up there?" He says that. He's a good welder because he welded all the time. He welded in Albuquerque and during the war and everything. And so he said, I'll get some welding equipment. We'll see, what do you think? And I said, that sounds wonderful. So that's what we did. And so he did a lot of welding. And it was funny because there was a family here in the school, a hippie family that had a kid that had long hair, and they had a dress code here they wouldn't let him go back to school. And his dad said, I'm not cutting his hair. And they said, well, then he's not coming back to school. And that was before we moved up here. So there was a big hullabaloo about that, and this one lady here, local lady, said, we don't want any she-look and he's in our school. Okay. So anyway, we went to the school board meeting when we got here. I did. And somebody behind me was mouthing off about some lady about, our kids and this and that and the other. And the lawyer said, your dress code is illegal. And she was raising all kind of cane. I didn't know who she was, so I asked a friend that I had met, who in the heck was that? And it was that lady that had done that in the paper. And I said, you mean that he-looking she is complaining about a she-looking he because she looks just like a man. And she acts like a man. And she was like a man. But anyway, so when we got out of there, I had said something, I don't know what it was, something in the meeting. And a lady approached me and she says, I need you. I said, for what? And she says, I teach adult education through the school, and I need somebody to help me. I said, I don't think I could do that. She said, I know you could. Give it a try. So I did. So I taught adult basic education, ESL, English as a second language, because I'm fluent in Spanish, and the GED. And I did that for 14 years.
Wow, it just kind of like
Yeah.
appeared. And
Yes, and then I did home health care. I had 5 different ladies that I took care of off and on, And what else did I do? I had so many jobs, I was trying to figure out, how did I get those all done at the same time?
And be a mom to all those kids.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And what else did I do? I decorated hundreds of cakes, birthday cakes and everything else. I did a lot of that. And I did sewing for ladies. And I translated in the courts on Mondays for the Mexican nationals. You name it, I did it. I did it. Wow. In Albuquerque, I was a nurse midwife. I was not a nurse. I was a lay midwife. I was the youngest lay midwife. This friend of mine was a midwife, and she'd worked with doctors. And so she says, I think you could do it. And she delivered 2 of mine. So I got trained for that. So we worked together on that. And then I worked at TG and Y. Do you remember those stores? They're like a variety store.
No.
Vaguely.
Before my time, I think.
I worked in those. I tell you, I found out if anything could be stolen, it was stolen. It was just amazing what they would steal. And we'd go in the bathroom and find a hole. In those days, pantyhose was the big thing. Find all kinds of packages, but no panty. And this one time, these 2 little kids, and the girl was probably, I'd say she might be around 10 or younger, and the little boy was probably about 5. So they were in the back, and I was kind of working with the towels and folding them and everything. And so they came up, and they didn't see me, and they came up to the indoor, and they had a pair of shoes, and they put it in front of the indoor. And so I walked over and I got them and I put them on the desk part there, and I was standing there like this. And so they go around and they opened the door to the indoor and they looked and for their shoes, and they didn't see, and they saw me standing there and took running as fast as they could go. Somebody had to teach them how to do that. Mm-hmm. Somebody had to teach them. They were just little bitty kids.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's kind of heartbreaking, to see that, but yeah.
How would you describe Saguache then? I'm thinking we're like 70s, 80s is kind of the era that we're kind of talking about right now.
It was a lot more busy than it is now.
A lot more busy.
I think so, yes. Because they had more businesses downtown.
Okay.
And a lot more activity going.
What are some of the businesses that you remember during that time that stand out as far as your memory?
Gosh, I don't even remember. The grocery store, Maloff's. No, not Maloff's.
Malcolm's? Is that
No, they had Smith's store.
Mr. Smith.
And then they had the one on the highway, and then they had a thrift store, yeah.
Do you remember Ramey's drugstore?
Ramey's,
yeah,
right.
Ramey and Al Ziegler.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That sign, I hated to see that sign go down. Mm-hmm. She was such a neat lady.
She's a really neat lady.
Yes, she sure was.
Elmer Kick had a restaurant. Elmer Kick, do you remember?
Kicks, right, yeah.
I know that name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
the movie theater.
Oh, yes.
The movie theater
That's
was
right.
the best place to be.
Yes, it was, and they had a lot of plays there, which was really cool.
Yeah.
Is this the youth theater? Was it so called the youth theater then?
Uh-huh.
It's always,
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's always been the youth theater.
Yeah, that's right.
And then
Who was it that had the liquor store?
The
there
liquor
was
store.
the liquor store, and then Packer's Place,
Yeah.
the bar.
Yeah.
And then at one time we had
right.
3 liquor stores in town.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Was it Milo Means that had a bowling alley or something at one time?
Something. I don't know, remember what.
The Saguache Hotel, that was open in the 70s and the 80s, right?
Yeah.
Was that a pretty hopping place, or?
Yes, several different people. Well, when I was here for the summer one time, Jackson Collier had it, and she needed a waitress. And so I said, she asked me if I would do it, and I said, I'll try it. I could never remember what went to who. 2 weeks was my limit.
That sounds like I would do.
I was not born to be a waitress. That's all there is to it. Not at all.
Out of all the jobs that you've had, which one do you think was the most fulfilling?
My last one, Head Start. Yeah, I just loved that. Yeah, and I worked at the jelly factory. Do you remember Nancy Ward's jelly factory? Mm-hmm. And when that started waning, she was going to quit, and so I figured, that's the end of my job. And then she said, Delores, she said, there's a perfect job for you at the Head Start. And I said, Head Start? And when I got home, my son said, Mom, there's a job at the Head Start. You ought to go try it out. So I went and they interviewed me. And the school called that morning before I left and said, we have adult education open again if you want to come and do that again. And so I thought, well, I'll let you know this afternoon or whenever I find out. So in the afternoon, of course, I knew all the ladies that were there, you know. And when they interviewed me, and then in the afternoon, she called up and she says, "You got the job." Oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it. It was so cool. Yeah, I really loved that job. The kids were 3, 4, and 5 years old.
Perfect age.
So much fun. Oh my gosh. And they always want to do crazy things. They love to do crazy things. The girl I work with, she said, "I used to hate science, but working with you, I just love it." Because I could think of some of the dumbest things to do. We'd put a blanket out and look at the clouds and make all kinds of little things. And they used to love to do that, you know, like little figures in the clouds. And just make kites out of paper bags. And that was my best job. That was my best job. Yeah, I really liked that. In Albuquerque, too, then I worked at Pioneer Wear, where we made Western jackets. And I did that for during the school year when the kids were in school. And bless my husband, I tell you, it was 8 solid hours of sewing, and I'd be so tired when I came home. And he'd always have something to eat. If it was only beans or fried potatoes, I didn't care what it was.
Yeah.
But he always had something to eat, and I was so thankful for that.
That's sweet.
It was so good.
Did you have any family traditions growing up for during the holidays or for meals or just bringing family together?
My mother loved to do birthdays.
Birthdays was the big.
She was so innovative, and she would just go all out for birthdays. Yeah, she did.
This is a lot of birthdays to celebrate too.
Yeah, quite a few.
Made her own bread.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, neat.
You bet.
So everyone must have looked forward to having their birthday, not just for the gifts, but the huge celebration that entailed.
So special.
And she just was so creative about things that she did. I was thinking about her because when I remembered in Verdigris, she joined what they called a circle group. It was a group of young ladies that would do exercise. Of course, in those days, everything was so traditional, clothing and everything like that, and you never wore pants. We never wore pants in school. We had long underwear and long stockings, and they'd creep up and you'd have this big lump under your knee, but never wore dresses, not in school. Anyway, so I remember she would come home, and she had these great big black bloomers that would kind of like right under her knee, you know, that short, just right under her knee. And I guess that was pretty scandalous in those days. She didn't care, you know.
Too much leg.
Yeah, I was going to say that too much. A shin is too much.
Yeah. Well, when we were raised according to Emily Post. Perfect manners. Children should be seen and not heard. And we had our own little table, the 3 of us, older kids, and she'd always serve us, so we had to eat everything, and I hated onions, and I'd slide them down the table leg, or I'd fill up my mouth and go to the bathroom. I hated onions. That was yucky.
Where was your mother born?
She was born in Verdigris.
And that's
little town, Nebraska.
Nebraska, okay.
Yeah. Her father was one of the. It was Edwards. Edward was his name.
Okay.
Yeah, and I remember my cousin William. He was a Hokoloshek too, and when he started school, his dad would come, and he was kind of a little fella. We were the same age. He was 9 months older than me, but he was kind of a little wimpy. And so the minute his dad would leave the school, he'd run screaming out of there, chasing his dad because he didn't want to stay there by himself. I was so embarrassed that he was my cousin. But we grew up, you know, until we left. And there's only 2 people that I remember my mother speaking Czech to, and that was her grandfather that raised her. He used to come in a little 1-horse buggy. And he'd bring us a little bag of candy and his little, well, you can tell he's got kind of like a beard and just a little short fella. And he was so doggone cute. And then the other one was William's father, Charlie. She spoke Czech to him. But she said, we're Americans, we speak English.
Wow.
And that's it. So we never did learn Czech.
Never learned it.
Which is kind of unfortunate. It would have been kind of nice. But in New Mexico, my first husband was Spanish. And his mother didn't speak English. And the kids that were not in school didn't speak English. The father spoke some. And the aunts, some of the aunts didn't speak English. The grandparents didn't. But his mother was so sweet and so good to me. And she called me Mijita, my daughter, my little daughter. Mijita. And she taught me how to make tortillas. And she was very calm lady. But when she got mad, her tortillas started getting bigger, and the madder she was. So we knew to stay away. She showed me how to make chili, red chili, and all that Mexican food. She was just so special. She really was. And then we'd go visit the grandparents, and the grandpa was a big, heavy fella, and he had great big hands. He used to lay adobes, but he was sitting in the chair at that time. And he called my oldest son, Will, he called him Joe. And so we'd walk in there and say hello, and he'd say, "¿Dónde está Joe?" Where's Joe? And Joe would be zip. He'd be peeking out behind me, looking at his grandpa because he's scared of him. Had this big booming voice, "Where's Joe?" His name was Will.
Is there any particular meals that you remember most, or your favorite that your mom made?
Yes, Sundays were usually roast and dill soup.
Dill soup.
That's a Czech dish. It's dill soup and with eggs. They drop eggs in it and chicken. And I love that. I still make it.
That sounds
great. And was this a family recipe that had been passed down?
Yeah. I guess. I think they all made it. But, dill. They made beer in crocks, in the big crocks. Mm-hmm. And what else did they? Sauerkraut.
Okay.
And then they grew their own dill. Everybody had dill. And I still grow it because I like the fresh dill. And but she would make roasts for weekend, for Sunday dinners, real nice dinners. And she was a good cook, very good cook.
Henrietta,
I just can't.
Henrietta.
Our big pig. Oh, yeah. He weighed over 400 pounds.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, when they killed him, man, he was a big one. He sure was. He was a big old pig. Well, when we moved to Los Trujillos, right. Well, this house, it was like a little street, and then there was a family that lived here, and they owned this property up here. And so we rented it, and the house had been used for cows, like a barn. It was full of crap, and we cleaned, and it was 3 rooms, wasn't it? 3 rooms, no water. My stepdad put water in the kitchen, and we had chickens. Mother had ducks. She loved ducks, little ducks. Little, and here comes all these little ducks. She'd put them in the ditch, and then she'd take them out on the other end. Let them.
Oh, how cute. And
rabbits. We had rabbits. And Yvonne and I would cut wood with a 2-man saw. We'd saw the board and saw.
How neat.
Yeah. We did it. And garden. Always had a garden. Oh, my God.
We picked 1 million potato bugs.
Yes, potato bugs by the billions. No kidding. And we were always hoeing, and everywhere we went, she had a garden.
This was big. What was the name? Victory Garden? Was that the name of the big kind of movement?
During the war?
Yeah, the Victory Gardens.
Yes, right.
You had a recipe for making adobes, too.
Adobes?
You made a lot of those.
I made a lot of those, you bet. I sure did. I helped make a lot of adobes. Yeah.
Talking about food, Mother was a real good baker, too.
Good baker.
And they kolaches.
Kolaches, yeah.
I've heard of that. What's that?
Yeah,
well, it's a roll, and then they put a filling. They make a depression in it and put a filling in it, like prune or apricot. They had, was it dill? No, not dill. caraway seed, was it? Caraway seeds.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and it was a sweet. That was a traditional. I remember one time when I went back to Verdigris for a family reunion. The church in the basement, they were having a collage festival, and all the tables were full of collages that the ladies were making. And then, of course, they'd have their dances and the polka dances, and I love polka dances. Well, I love polka dances. And then they would, and I guess they played a lot of baseball with the neighboring towns, so they did that a lot there in Verdigris. And we did a lot of ice skating without skates.
The ice ponds,
Yeah. On our shoes.
Any time we all had to be
Yeah,
skating.
with our sliding around and had our sled. And then, the way Verdigris was situated, it was kind of like in a valley, and there was a hill that went up this way, and then there's a hill here, and as you come into Verdigris, you come in on the upper road, and all you can see is a church steeple. And then you have to come around and come into it. And then where we lived was about halfway up the hill, and then go down, and then downtown was like this. And we lived right across the street from the Catholic Church. And then up the hill was a pavilion, and Lawrence Welk, have you heard of Lawrence Welk?
Yeah.
He was in South Dakota, just right across the border, and they would come and play up there. And we'd run around in the pavilion and everything and play up there. But yeah, Lawrence Welk used to come pretty often, and that was really neat. Good music.
It sounds like music is really important to you. Is that something that's still a part of your everyday?
Well, it used to be. I have an organ that I'm getting rid of because I can't see to read.
Oh, to read the music.
Yeah, but I played. I took lessons. I started lessons when I was 5, and boring. And then I think we did that for 2 years, and then Diane, the third one, the next one after her, she was 3 years younger than me. And she would just climb up there and play the same thing. She was a musical one. She was the one that should have had the lessons because she was so musical. And then I got, my husband, Julian, played guitar. And so I learned to play guitar. And I had an accordion.
Oh, fun.
It got to be heavy, and I couldn't do it anymore. So I had a nice one, a Scandali. It was a really nice one. So I played that.
Did you guys just play at home, or
sometimes for a couple of years I played for the Catholic Church because they didn't have anybody there to play. I would do that, so I did that. I played their organ, and I have an organ, a really nice organ, and then I joined a drumming group. Oh, we had that here. I don't know if you were around when. No,
I don't.
But we had so much fun. I still have my little djembe. I love to drum.
That's what I want to do. I want to learn how to drum.
And I'm always tapping to everything, and I love to hear. I always try to pick out basses in
different
the
songs
music.
and,
yeah, I would have been. I think I would have liked to play the bass, but I loved, and I love my organ, but I just can't see the notes anymore.
The other question I wanted to ask you was just about art. So you're such an amazing, talented artist, and I know it runs in the family.
Oh yes.
Did your parents or grandparents, or were they artists? Like, where did you guys get that from?
I don't know.
Born with it, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know, because Annette, she was the youngest. She was a wonderful quilt maker. Oh my gosh, she was just an artist. And then Diane on the computer, she could do anything on a computer. She was so good. And Gary was a good carpenter. My real father, was a very good carpenter, because I remember in our backyard when we were little kids, we had a swing, and we had a seesaw, and we had a merry-go-round. Yeah, and then he built that little trailer for us to stay in. How we ever fit in that trailer, I'd be darned if I know. I think back about it. Oh man, we were stacked up. Well, remember Diane got burned on that. We had a little kerosene heater, and she was up too soon, and somehow a chair slipped and burned her leg on that kerosene heater. I remember that. That was Diane?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We had lots of escapades. Yeah.
Did you have any favorite places that you lived? Because you've lived so many places. I didn't know if there was any particular one that stood
Probably
out.
Saguache.
Saguache is your favorite?
I like it. I like it very much. Yeah, very much.
How do you feel that Saguache has changed over the years, and what do you think for the future of Saguache?
I don't know. It's declining. I see it declining. I really do. You know, if they would have some kind of a, well, it would take a lot of money, some kind of a, like factory or something,
Yeah.
and then
bring in
apartments to
jobs.
where they could bring in jobs. But I think they tried here several years ago, but nothing ever happened to it. So I don't know. But no, I like Saguache a lot. I think this will be my final resting place. I have my stone up here already anyway. So anyway.
Is there any? I'm curious. What do you find? What makes you feel grounded in life? Is there anything in particular that just makes you grounded? Music or art? Is there anything that you like to do that just makes you feel grounded?
Well, I used to love to do my culture.
Oh, culture, yeah.
That was fun. And the music, of course. I did a lot of that.
Or beadwork, too.
Beadwork?
I did a lot of beadwork.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beads.
Yeah.
Tiny, tiny, tiny beads.
Yeah. I made hundreds of little angels. I'm not giving them all away.
I have your angels.
You have one?
Yeah.
Those are
Very
the little
special.
bigger beads.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You were trying to grab your pictures here,
Yeah.
so I assumed you wanted
I was
it.
just,
Yeah.
I don't know what I was going to do. I probably won't even be able to see it. I go downtown now and they say, "Hi, Dolores, how are you doing?" I say, "I'm doing great. How are you?" And I don't have a clue who I'm talking to.
Oh, who they are.
I can't
That happens to all of us, I think, sometimes.
Well, this is my grandmother's grandfather. Oh, I was going to say, we have quite a military family. My Daddy Phil was on the first submarine that they built.
Wow.
And he said that they had gone down and couldn't get back up.
Oh, wow.
And they were starting to panic.
Yeah.
And he said, when they finally got out, he said, "I got out of the submarine service right then."
That was it.
That would scare you.
Yeah. And then Gary, our brother Gary, he was in the Navy, and he was on, was it the first atomic sub?
Trident, too.
Yeah, and they were stationed under Antarctica for 6 months at a time. They couldn't communicate with anybody. Poor Laura, so wife, it was...
They laid down a lot of cable.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he was Navy, and then we had, then Annette's son, a nephew, was in the Marines. That was Gary Don, and then
You got an Air Force one
yeah,
here.
well, she and they were both in the Air Force. That's where they met.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was really cool. And then my son, Johnny, like my stepson Johnny, like I said, was a helicopter door gunner during the Vietnam War. And Will was, my oldest son, was based in Taiwan. And he was a chief mechanic for planes, transport planes. They would transport all kinds of arms and whatever people over to Vietnam during the war. And so this one time they were there when the Vietcong hit the Vietnam. And not Vietnam, it was, what was that? It was a, shoot.
Willie?
Korean?
Willie you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Well, he was all over Southeast Asia.
yeah, well,
Vietnam, Thailand.
well, they hit that Da Nang. When they hit Da Nang that bad, and so they blew up they messed his plane up, and he was in Taiwan. He was in Vietnam.
Was he shot down?
No, they were on the ground.
Oh, on the ground, okay.
But they blasted Da Nang like crazy, and Johnny was there, and so he finally managed to get back to Taiwan, but he said it took a long time for them to get him back to Vietnam, to Taiwan. And that's where he met Xin. And they got married. And so when they came to the States, she's just the sweetest thing. You could hardly understand her, and she still has a real strong accent. But she called me one day, and she says, Mom, she says, when you get old, I'm going to quit my job, and I'm going to come and take care of you. Now, how many daughter-in-laws would say that? So, probably all of mine, because I know Lorraine would. And I have the best family in the whole world. I do. I have the best family. All the in-laws are just, my son-in-laws are so good. My daughter-in-laws are so good.
That's great.
They're just really wonderful. Yeah. So anyway, that's just what I was going to show you, the military family.
Nice. What's something that you've never done that you've always wanted to do? Is there anything that stands out?
Yeah, I always wanted to go to Spain.
Spain?
Yeah.
Anywhere in particular in Spain? Or?
No, but now I think I would rather go to Greece.
Okay.
I love Greek music. Oh, I love Greek music.
Greek music.
Yeah. Well, my youngest daughter, Evelyn, was going to marry this guy, Davide Tomei, and people came from Italy, way back when. So they wanted to go to Italy to get married, and they wanted me to go. And so we worked it out to where that was the best trip I've ever made. All I had to do was hang on and go for the ride. She had everything planned to the second.
Yeah.
Just the way I liked it. But we had such a good time in Italy. Oh my gosh, it was wonderful. And the wedding was beautiful. And what was funny, they told me that about 14 months before they were getting ready to go. And so I decided to study Italian. So I did. I studied Italian and studied. And I said, when we were going to go, I'm ready, man oh man. Got it made. Well, we got over there, and I wasn't quite as ready as I thought I was.
It's a little different when you're there immersed in it.
Yes, it certainly is. But,
Yes.
But his family had come from a place called Tirelio, and it was only because it was like on he had a UPS system is that what they call it in the cars, where they show you how to go?
Oh, a GPS.
Yeah, GPS. So he had one of those, so we were going to go to find this place where his people had come from, and Tirelio was the name of it. And so we took this road, and I think the road was no bigger than this.
Wow.
And it was a sheer drop off over there.
Oh, goodness.
And there was no place. And he was getting kind of worried, Davide was, because we'd go and never get anywhere. And he said, I think we need to find a place to turn around. And we couldn't find any place. And my daughter was sitting here by me, and she was over here. And she dropped down there. Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden it opened up, and there was this sign said, Tirelio. You had to walk up these steps, and the whole thing was up on this bluff, the whole town. The whole thing. And the streets were probably maybe as big as from that door to here. All these buildings on both sides were like 10 stories high, just like this.
Wow.
All the way down. It was the darnest thing. And we saw the church. We got to see the church, and we saw the memorial for the Vietnam veterans that had come from there. And then I saw this fellow there, and I asked him if he knew where Tomei house was, Dove la casa Tomei, and he just said, and he took off, and I said, I don't think he understood me, or he didn't want to, I don't know. Anyway, so we went down, we came back a little bit, and then he was standing there, and he just did like this, and so I said, I think he wants us to follow him, and so we did, and then we came to the end where the shop drops off on this side, and there was 2 houses that were down there. There was a yellow one here and one down here. And I said, La Casa Giallo? And he said, no, la otro. No, the other one. Not the yellow one, the other one. And we went down there, and over the door was the Tomei crest. Talk about a miracle. Yeah. I mean, Davide's jaw dropped, and he couldn't even talk. He was so struck by it.
Wow.
And we were talking out there, and he was just looking. And finally they heard us, and they invited us to go in, and it was a beautiful house. But we were he said outside of the wedding, that was the best part of the trip.
Oh, what an opportunity to have to be a part of that.
Yeah, that was so cool.
That's great.
That was really, really cool. I was so excited about it. So anyway, so there were tons of Tomes. We saw the phone book, and oh my God, in Luca,
really popular.
Everybody's a Tome. Yeah, that was really neat. So that was a really fun trip. I really enjoyed it. We got to see the Coliseum. Oh my gosh. You have no idea how big it is. And you look down and you look way, way, way down, where they used to keep the animals and the soldiers and all those people that would fight. It was just amazing. And we got to go to the museum and see all the stuff that was in there. And I have to say, we see like walls that might be, they have paintings and sculptures and all kinds of stuff. But you'd see so much gold, and especially in that one, the main room where the priest used to give the Pope gives the Mass. And they had the Sistine Chapel, in the Sistine Chapel, and they had the art up on top. On the backs of the poor people, all of this richness, it just boggles your mind. And they told us before we went in, no talking, no noise. And we got in there. And these Orientals, I tell you, they were louder than trains. They would not be quiet for nothing and jostle you around and everything, and I thought, didn't they get the message? It was so different. But it was really quite an experience.
What's the best decision you ever made that you can think of?
Oh my gosh.
Good question.
Best decision I ever made. Oh my goodness.
Relocate to Saguache?
Maybe. I'm giving that some thought. Yeah.
That's a great one for us, too.
Yeah. Well, I've been so blessed in my life, I tell you. I've been so blessed. In our family, the two oldest and the youngest are the ones that are still alive, and the three in the middle are gone. And then my husband's gone. So I have a little container that I've got the names of those that are in there, and every day I shake it up and I say, who wants to be my guide and protection? 3 pop out or so. I get miracles.
Wow.
I get miracles all the time. I do, honest to God. I'll put something out to the universe, and by golly, it's there. It just boggles my mind. It just boggles my mind. I'm so blessed. Oh my God. Blessed beyond measure.
What part of getting older has been your favorite?
Favorite? Well, let's see. I don't know. Just, being here and having so many nice people. Everybody has been so nice. And then having my family here.
Yeah, that's nice.
That is so special. We just...
Yeah, it sounds like you're very blessed.
I've had so many favorite things. Oh, my goodness. I got to go to Hawaii and see Johnny, the one that passed here lately. I got to see him before. I did not care for Hawaii. We were on a promontory, our hotel, and all you could see is water as far as you could see, and I can't swim a lick. And it was very intimidating. It was beautiful. Mm-hmm. We got to see the Queen's Garden and all that, and that was beautiful. And I got to see Johnny. Water is intimidating to me. I don't know why. Yeah, I can't think of any one thing that stands out. Mm-hmm.
What about if you could go back in time, what would you tell your 25-year-old self?
Think before you leap. Maybe that would be a good one.
No, that's a good
Sounds
one.
like a good one.
Yeah.
One last question I have for you is, when we asked you to do this, what would be one thing that you would really want to be a part of this recording and for, future generations to hear?
Gosh, I don't know. Was there anything that you found interesting?
I think it's all
Everything.
Interesting.
All of it.
Yeah. We're so appreciative of you sharing your stories.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah. I think you've imparted a lot of wisdom today.
I got one final question we can maybe end on, if you're up for it.
Mm-hmm.
What gives you meaning and purpose in life?
Since my son's gone, and there's so much stuff to take care of, it makes me so happy to be able to share it with other people. Just to know that it's going to make them happy. And I really enjoyed doing that. My house is 2 times bigger than it was because I've gotten rid of so much stuff. Gosh, I guess all my children are so special, and My whole family's been such a good family. Such a good family. I've been so blessed.
Great. Well, thank you so much for
thank you, Delores.
Well, I hope I
meeting with us.
Something enjoyable.
It's been lovely.
Oh, yeah. It's been
thoroughly
wonderful.
enjoyed it.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
You have been listening to Saguache County Stories. Thank you to our guest, Delores Worley, for sharing her story. This podcast is made possible in part through a generous Saguache County sales tax grant. Our theme music was created by Lydia Schultz-Sprouts and Rob Treeport with Golden Turtle Sound. Concept development by Maureen Ike Van Walligan with Dusty Dog Film, along with the staff of the Northern Saguache County Library District. If you would like to share your story, email Eden at edenelderberry@nsclibrarydistrict.org or call the Vaca Grande Library 719-256-4100. For new episodes, to read our blog, or watch our YouTube channel, check out the Northern Saguache County Library District website, nscld.colibraries.org.